Hey everybody, this is Harrison with Level 1 Gaming doing a review for Star Wars Outlaws Wildcard DLC. A DLC set on a casino ship where you play Sabaack against Lando Calrissian? Sign me up! The Wildcard DLC sells itself with the promise of interacting with the suave Lando. While the beginning of the DLC is highly enjoyable, it really suffers from some uneven pacing and technical issues that bog down the experience, and the DLC overall takes around 3 to 4 hours to complete.
Right. Of course.
Returning to the Trailblazer, Kay receives a message from a shady contact about a new job. Upon meeting this contact, she learns that she's been hired by Imperial Governor Thornton to infiltrate and win a high-stakes Sabaack match. The prize? A moon-rich and valuable ore that was banned from mining during the Clone Wars. The Sabaack match is hosted aboard the Merinia, a casino ship that remains in hyperspace 99% of the time. And to gain access, Kay must track down a way onto the ship. Once aboard, she impersonates various characters, engages in some Hitman-style sleuthing, and faces off against Lando. Shenanigans ensue.
Outfit that hit the Merinia. They're locals. Call themselves Starfallers. But that's all
The casino ship, the Merinia, is a visual and auditory feast, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. Every corner, cranny, and Sabaack table has been crafted with meticulous detail. The audio design here is once again spectacular. The main bar hums with chatter and thumping band music, which is hilariously performed by a group station on top of the bar of itself. Even just strolling through the ship corridors, you'll hear ambient noises like the PA announcements and the creaks and groaning of the ship, which make the Merinia feel genuinely alive, and it's so much fun to explore. But based off of how amazing and attention to detail was spent on the graphics in the main game, this shouldn't be a surprise here. At one point, Kay gets her own VIP hotel room, and in a heartwarming moment, she and Nix are ecstatic over how luxurious this is. They even share an adorable scene laying side by side on the bed, marveling at its comfort. You can use an in-room intercom to request housekeeping, which adding another delightful touch, and just overall exploring the Merinia is a genuine joy, and I only wish the game allows you to revisit it once the story ends. The first part of the DLC focuses on Kay and Indy exploring the Merinia, while gathering intel and preparing for the high-stakes Sabaack match. Players are given multiple ways to achieve their objectives, which really goes a long way to adding a fun layer of creativity and bringing something fresh to the game. And again, adding something like a Hitman style of gameplay aspects. So, for example, Kay needs a master keycard to break into a room. There's a couple ways you can go about this. Some of them you can just stumble upon accidentally like I did. So to steal a master keycard, you can either eavesdrop on a conversation to learn when an employee lost their keycard below deck. There's a creature that escapes from somebody's suitcase, and if you follow it long enough, you hear one of the employees saying, "Oh, that critter stole my keycard." So if you follow the critter, you can find that the critter dropped your keycard later on. Or you can be sneaky and request room service to your room and annoy a employee by saying, "Hey, I think you missed a spot on this wall." And while they're bent over trying to clean the wall, you can steal their keycard from them. And these Hitman-inspired sandbox elements feel surprisingly natural to this game and add a ton of variety to the gameplay. And I really hope we see more of this style in future DLCs or sequels for this title. Unfortunately, once Kay's business aboard the Merinia concludes, the DLC really begins to falter. You're sent back to Tashara, where you'll need to clear a random bandit hideout and complete a few vehicle-based missions. And while this gameplay isn't bad on its own, and it's more or less what you've been doing for the main game, it really pales in comparison to the dynamic, engaging first hour aboard the Merinia. You're really set up to believe that this DLC is going to bring something new and fresh and innovative with the Hitman-style gameplay aspect, but if you wanted to and just didn't take your time, because I took my time exploring the ship because I loved it, but if you were to just go straight through it, that part of the gameplay might have lasted like 30 minutes. And again, it's not bad, it just sets itself up as you're going to expect something different. And later the story shifts back to just infiltrating an Imperial base, which brings back more of the standard sneaking and platforming gameplay familiar to us. Again, this part isn't poorly executed either. It just lacks the spark of the earlier casino missions and feels like a really big step backwards what the DLC wanted to make you think that it was. Well, let's talk about something real bad. Near the end of the DLC, a significant bug caused my console to just shut off entirely. There were a few times that, it would crash back to the Xbox home screen. Fair enough, games do that, that's fine. But the next few times, every time I crawled into this one stupid specific event, the console would completely shut off. And the game would come back and say, or the console would turn back on and say, "Hey, your console's overheating." And I don't think it's my console, because I was able to test this 5 times, and every time in the exact same position, this dumb vent that's required to progress my console would shut off. I could play the rest of the game, fine. Go that one vent, destroy the console. Beyond that, the DLC crashed 3 more times, 2 of which occurred during the Sabaack match, which bizarrely lacked checkpoints. So if you get towards to the end of the, centerpiece of the DLC, the giant Sabaack match, and it crashes towards the end of it, you just start the whole thing over again. And it kind of lessens the impact of, the high stakes match if you have to replay it 3 times. And again, these technical issues were honestly really surprising. If you look back to my original Outlaws playthrough, I played my first playthrough through about 40-ish hours, and it was on quick resume on my Xbox Series X the entire time. I didn't have a single bug, crash, nothing. In note, I reached out to Ubisoft about this, but have yet to receive a response after weeks of waiting. So when the credits rolled, I had a smile on my face, but also some pretty heavy lingering frustrations. The Wildcard DLC shines brightest when it's aboard the Morania, offering fresh gameplay, memorable moments. However, these strengths only account for maybe a third of the DLC's runtime. So overall, I guess I lukewarm recommend this DLC, but with some pretty heavy caveats. If you loved Outlaws and are craving more, this will obviously scratch that itch. If you already don't own the Season Pass, or you weren't completely sold on the base game, this DLC isn't going to make you fall in love with the game, and I would recommend you would wait for a sale. So, yeah, kind of a weird DLC to review, mainly because of the technical issues, but I'll be reviewing the next DLC that comes out for Star Wars Outlaws, so come back and check with me then. Again, this is Harrison or Progral1 with Level 1 Gaming, and thanks for subscribing and watching. We'll see you next time. See ya.